Hello everyone, welcome to my channel Kwon Crypto. You guys might have already seen that the markets are kind of devastated. Every other coin out there, it is down by 30-40%. Some people are saying that this whole crash has happened because of the whole Terra Luna fiasco. No, the markets were kind of in decline since quite some time, and what we are seeing right now, especially in the Terra's charts, I am one of the Terra Luna holders, and to be frank, I have also suffered a small part of a loss because of this whole fiasco. But other than this, I know there are people, especially in the Terra community, lunatics, invested their life savings into Terra, and no doubt the project was performing amazingly well for quite some time until this whole incident happened in the last, let's say, 3-4 days. In this video, I'm going to tell you the whole story, what has caused this incident. But before we jump into what caused this whole depegging and crash of Luna's price, okay, let's start from the very basic, what algorithmic stablecoins are. Okay, one thing we know about stablecoin is that its price needs to be stable, and if it's pegged to US dollar, or if we are planning to maintain its value equal to US dollar, we have to do something which maintains its value. In the collateralized stablecoins like USDC or USDT, we put US dollars like actual cash in the reserve, and then the supply or demand of a particular stablecoin kind of fluctuates its prices, but that's where how we play with the reserves and maintain that price of $1 throughout the time. But with algorithmic stablecoins, this is not the case. With algorithmic stablecoins, we achieve price stability as well as kind of balance the circulating supply of the stablecoin. We peg it to a reserve asset. What we do why we call it algorithmic? This is important to understand. Why we call it algorithmic is because there is an algorithm underneath which uses a simple mint and burn mechanism. By mint and burn mechanism, it simply means, for example, the price increases. We will kind of mint or issue or bring more tokens into the supply, which will bring down the value of the stablecoin back to $1. If opposite happens, for example, if its price decreases, we will take out the tokens from the supply, and its price will increase back, because again, if we reduce the supply, the demand will be same. People will bring back the token's price back to $1. In the past, there have been many algorithmic stablecoin experiments, and many of them have failed massively. But UST was till date running as a successful experiment, but there were flaws. There were flaws which caused the whole fiasco. We will understand what the flaws were. But before that, let's understand what Terra's DeFi ecosystem looks like. Terra's whole ecosystem operates with two tokens. One of them is UST, the other is LUNA. Now, UST is a stable coin, the algorithmic stable coin, which is intended to be pegged one-on-one to US dollars. While LUNA, we can call it the governance token or something like that. Terra's whole ecosystem is built around the stablecoin UST. Now, in order to create more UST, we have to burn LUNA. This also means as UST's adoption will increase, Terra's supply will also go down and Terra's value will also increase. Now, this is when we are considering only upside potential. Even back in early November also, there was a huge demand of UST because UST was getting listed. It was being started to used by many MIMs on Abracadabra, and even in many DeFi platforms, DEXs, etc., which were adopting UST. And also UST was pitched as decentralized stable coin of the world. We don't need centralized stable coins like USDT, which is Tether, or USDC. Now, what happened? There were many protocols also launching which were starting to use UST. This was increasing the demand of, you can anytime go on Terra's platform and change $1 of UST with $1 of LUNA. And this is very important to understand. So there is this bridge there which can help you exchange these tokens with each other. Let's start understanding this thing with some extreme conditions. Now let's say the price of LUNA is $1 million, and somebody can go clearly and mint 1 million UST for a single LUNA. Now let's say and LUNA's price falls, let's say to $10. Okay, now this person can easily go and redeem their UST for 100,000 LUNA. Now you can clearly see that there is such a large amount of Luna still left in the circulation. So every stablecoin needs utility. Like I mentioned, it was starting to be used in different DeFi protocols. One protocol where UST was getting its utility directly was Anchor protocol. Anchor protocol is normally an automated money market. But what is more important to note is that Anchor protocol was paying 19.5% APY on staked USD. There was a huge proportion of USD that was staked in Anchor protocol. Why? Because 19.5%, it is again too good to be true. Now the bigger question comes, how can a protocol keep giving you 20% APY, kind of free money every year? There is an entity called as Luna Foundation Guard. It's like a non-profit which oversees the whole Terra's multi-billion-dollar ecosystem. To keep giving 20% APY to their depositors or to their stakers, what they do is they take the Luna which is deposited in their treasury, they sell it in the market, take USD and supply it or distribute it into the audience. This is bad, and I know that in the DeFi ecosystem, probably almost all of the L1 protocols do that, but less directly. What LFG was doing here was quite blatant. It is kind of, you are paying the borrower to borrow funds. Now, all this is good if everything is happening in a positive direction and people are trading or buying or depositing more and more of USD. But like I mentioned, people started to withdraw what they stored in Anchor protocol. What were they doing with these withdrawals? They were going to Terra's platform and changing it for Luna, and then they were going on centralized exchanges and dumping it. You can clearly see, and I'm definitely sure there was easily billions of dollars worth of Luna that was dumped. Why? Because the whole depeg happened. This whole situation with the whole free money which Anchor protocol was distributing, or I should say LFG, the Luna Foundation Guard, was distributing, it was already pointed out by Freddie Reynolds, and you can clearly see he has given a very great example of how it was developing to be a Ponzi scheme. Now this whole adoption of UST and the whole reduction in supply of Luna, you can clearly see that the Luna supply, it shrunk significantly, right? And because the tokens were being consistently burned. Now the first question comes, if somebody is paying you 20% APY, why not just take tons of money, put it in the protocol and earn like shit amount of money? So that's what DegenBox did. The whole abracadabra DegenBox, you can see that the total value logged there in USD was $1.36 billion. In Anchor's protocol, there's another function called as Anchor Borrow. This function, it allows you to borrow money by using different assets as collateral. Right now, these two assets, the two main assets that were available were Ethereum and Luna. Now the question comes, how much you can borrow? The amount of money you have put as collateral, you can borrow 50% of that amount. Now, for example, if you have 100 Luna tokens, which is trading at $70, your collateral value is $7,000, you can go and borrow $3,500. It is very simple math. Now, back in January, this whole DegenBox, which has deposited $1.4 billion of USD, it collapsed, and it was a major crash, which also led to kind of a small depeg in USD's price compared to US dollars. The LFG, the Luna Foundation Guard, it raised around $1.1 billion in Bitcoins back in March 2026. They started accumulating Bitcoins, and this Bitcoin was bought to back USD. For example, if any kind of mishap or anything happens, there will be at least Bitcoin reserves which can be used to back the whole depegging or the massive movement in USD. So back in April, Kwon announced 4 pool on Curve Finance. Curve Finance, to give you a brief, Curve Finance is an automated market maker which can help you specialize in stablecoin swaps with very low price slippage. Now, what was this 4 pool? 4 pool was composed of 2 specially decentralized stablecoins, which was UST and Frax's Frax. Other 2 were centralized stablecoins, which were USDC and USDT. Now we can see that the whole intention of creating this 4 pool was that they wanted to increase the utility of Terra's UST stablecoins with partnership with Frax and Redacted Cartel. Redacted cartel is a tool which is used to earn yields on logged tokens. Okay, now depositors on Curve, they can deposit these stable coins on these 4 pool and they can earn yield up to somewhere around, like, let's say 4%. This way, Curve offers a very highly efficient way to exchange these stable coins with each other while maintaining very low fees and very low slippage. Now remember this thing which I told you, because this was the second thing which set up the whole stage for the whole incident that has happened. Now, something which obviously we don't know, when the attacker borrowed 100,000 bitcoins to start the position. Now, when the whole news came out that the Luna Foundation Guard has raised $1 billion, and with that money they will be buying Bitcoin, this triggered a price movement in Luna, and Luna's price started to go up. Now, what the attacker was trying to do was he shorted Bitcoin, and in the drop of Bitcoin's prices, he was trying to take the advantage. Now, this whole incident starts when LFG removes $150 million worth of liquidity from their 3 pool, right, in the anticipation of 4 pool. Now, Curve Finance proudly stated this thing that someone started to sell UST in Marseille, so it started to depeg. However, that was met with a great resistance and the peg was restored. One of the reasons how the peg was restored was LFG started to sell money from their Bitcoin reserves. Now 10 minutes after, just 10 minutes after, LFG started to pull liquidity in preparation of their 4 pool, the attackers pounced. First, they cleared the entire liquidity and they just needed 350 million USD for that. They started dumping their USD on Binance. And I mentioned in the beginning that these attackers, they shorted Bitcoin. And the only point what they wanted to take advantage of was when Terra's foundation will start selling Bitcoin, and they will need to sell a massive amount of Bitcoin, which will drop the Bitcoin's price down, and it will also bring a small panic in the market, which will result in bringing the price of not only just Terra Luna but also the Bitcoins further down. If it would have been higher, for let's say somewhere around, let's say $4 to $5 billion, they would have still restored or at least bear the pressure of this whole drainage of liquidity that is happening. Also, this mass selling of USD that is happening on centralized exchanges. To restore the price of USD back to $1, LFG have to sell their Bitcoins. As they start selling their Bitcoins in Marseille again, this brought a massive sell pressure on Bitcoin, and the price of Bitcoin starts falling down. This was exactly what the attackers wanted. LFG to dump BTC while attackers keep putting pressure in dumping USD. The more BTC LFG will sell, the lower BTC's price will be, the more panic will be in the market, the more sell pressure will also be on USD, as people will start to see that such high amount of depeg will exist in a stable coin. People will panic and people will start selling their own stable coins as well. Of course, they want to prevent their losses. There was a whole mass panicking in the markets, and also there was a mass congestion in the chain, which resulted in all the withdrawals from centralized exchanges to suspend, and a bank run on Anchor. I hope you guys know what bank run means. Bank runs means, for example, if there are a large number of depositors in a bank, or let's say in a DeFi protocol, and all of them, they start withdrawing their deposits at once, the bank will be in a pretty bad state. You can clearly see in this figure the total deposits and borrows in USD. They started to decline massively, especially after this incident on May 8. And this bank run caused panic in the entire crypto community. To restore the price of USD, the price of Luna needs to go down. Why? Because the supply of Luna will increase. People can clearly see that the whole system which Terra has built, it is collapsing. And the timing of the attack was so correct that it could only be done exactly when LFG was pulling the draining out of its 3 pool and putting it in 4 pool, right in between. Because as soon as LFG pulled out its liquidity, the attacker could execute this attack only with $350 million worth of funds. Now, if the attacker has put a short position at $42,000 of, let's say, 100,000 Bitcoins, he is able to close the position at even, let's say, $31,000 or $32,000. This still means they have made a net profit of somewhere around $950 million. When you clearly show that the algorithm you have built to stabilize UST, it's a failure. And you can see, like I explained in the video, how many number of protocols are involved, like how even the DeFi protocol which you have built with Anchor and how people are able to stake the money there, it's failing. It is starting to build up like a Ponzi scheme. Why? Because the utility which is tied to it, it is not supporting the pegging. Can it recover from there? Yes, but with the condition that UST needs to restore its peg. To restore its peg, they will also need to reduce the supply of UST. Terra Luna has made statement just now. I personally support this move because I personally support this move because it was a much needed step which they had to take, especially to destabilize. And it's basic economics. If you want to stabilize the price and especially increase the price to stabilize it, you have to reduce the supply. You have to find ways to reduce the supply of the token. Here you can clearly see the exact thing which I was mentioning. LFG started to sell number of Bitcoins which they were having in their reserve. It declined drastically. And exactly this whole process started where the attacker wanted to hit its final nail in the coffin. And you can see here right on May 9th, the net transfer volume into exchanges. So you can see somewhere around more than 50,000 Bitcoins were transferred in a centralized exchange and they all were sold. Subsequently, more Bitcoins were also sold. So this was the whole story. And like I said, it was a very well coordinated attack. Does this mean all this mishap that has happened, it was Terra's fault? I would say 80% yes. We cannot be so overconfident about the algorithm we have built and not considering the downside at all. There were many analysts, like I showed you, who were pointing that something like this can happen. They were consistently warning us that something like this can happen. The CEO and the whole team of Terra completely overlooked it and didn't bother to give it even a slightest of attention. We should be taking this as a constructive criticism and constructive feedback to improve the algorithms, the protocol, the whole infrastructure we are building. But other than this, the whole market, it is pretty much devastated right now. And yeah, it is bad. But again, it's not just bad, it is the best time to buy. And I have a list of my own tokens which I will be buying. Let's start doing some DCA, dollar cost averaging right now, because the prices are very down, and let's buy some tokens which can help us give a good return, maybe even easily around like 4x or 5x return in the current market conditions. Thank you. Please don't forget to like and subscribe the video. Please comment, please put your questions there. I will try to answer as many as possible. Till then, see ya. Namaste.